So good morning everyone. The topic for today is labeling theory. Labeling theory is an approach in sociology of deviance that focuses on the ways which the agents of social control attach stigmatizing stereotypes to particular groups, and the way in which stigmatized change in behavior once labeled. Labeling theory is associated with the work of Baker in his reaction to sociological theories, which is examine only the characteristics of the deviants rather than the agencies which control them. Howard Baker, 1963. The idea is that evidence of deviance is a consequence of external judgments or labels that modify the individual's self-concept and change the way the other respond to the labeled person. The central feature of liberal theory is the self-fulfilling prophecy in which the label corresponds to the label in terms of delinquent behavior. It has been criticized for ignoring the capacity of the individual to resist the labeling and assuming that is an automatic process. Labeling theory recognizes that labels will vary depending on the culture, time period, and situation. David Rosenhan's study on being sane in insane places 1973 provides a striking demonstration of the power of labeling and the importance of context. So, diyan pumapasok yung pag-discriminate ng ibang tao sa'yo. So, for example, ikaw, pupunta ka sa isang lugar na hindi ka kilala. So, hindi pa rin may iwasan na may masabi pa rin yung tao sa'yo. I-discriminate ka. Kahit hindi ka pa kilala ng tao, mayroon silang masasabi sa inyo. Or, marami agad silang masasabi na hindi maganda kahit hindi pa nila kayo mistulang talagang kilala. So, labeling theory as known as reaction o social reaction theory. Ang pag-discriminate sa ibang tao. Ang pag-down ba? Stigma and discrimination, the roots of labeling theory. Sociologists generally agree that deviant labels are also stigmatizing labels. Bernburg 2009, sociologists define stigma as a series of specific negative perceptions and stereotypes attached to a label. Link and Phelan 2001, which can be evident is transmitted by mass media or the everyday interaction people have between themselves. So, for example guys, C1, sa ilang community is tawag siya kawatan. So, syempre, C1, wala sila yung buhaton, kaya mo na yung pagtanaw sa mga tao niya. So, as a one, syempre, murag, ikaw, buhaton na lang sa nimo yung sa mga tao, kumbaga, panindigan nimo ba? Ng mga kawatan ka na lang, kaya ano, magay-mahim mo, kayo magtila, judge nimo. And labeling theory, morning kuyaw sa mga hinay o kasing-kasing or gamay nga istorya, baka na masakitan bitaw. Kay damdamon nila pag-ayo ba? Sila kalimot or matroma sila sa inyong pang istorya. So, kung kaya mahimo nga, dili na lang ta mag-istorya sa mga lahi tao, discriminate ba? Ato nalikyan, ay luwi ba ang mga tao? Ngaway sala ba niya, inyo sanginlan niya, mauna. Inyo pagbintangan, di ra ba tinuod? And, so, siyempre, as a student, hinahanglan na agad tayo respect for each other. Respeto nimo siya, respeto ka sa niya. So, mauro ka guys.
Labeling theory is the theory of how the self-identity and behavior of individuals may be determined or influenced by the terms of self-fulfilling prophecy and stereotyping. Labeling theory holds that deviance is not inherent to an act, but instead focuses on the tendency of majorities and negativity label of majorities, or those seen as deviant from standard cultural norms. The theory was prominent during the 1960s and 1970s, and some modified versions of the theory have developed and are still currently popular. A stigma is defined as powerful negative label that changes a person's self-concept and social identity. Posits that people come to identify and behave in ways that how others label them. It most commonly associated with the sociology of crime and deviance, where it is used to point out how social processes of labeling and treating someone as criminally deviant actually fosters deviant behavior and has negative repercussions for the person because others are like to be based against them because of the label. Ito ang mga posisyon na nakilala at inaasal ng mga tao sa mga paraan kung paano nila nilagyan ng label at ang iba. Kung saan ito ay ginagamit upang ituro kung paano ang mga panlipunang proseso ng paglibel at pagtrato sa isang tao bilang isang kriminal na lihis ay aktwal na nagpapaunlad ng lihis na pag-uugali at may negatibong epekto para sa taong iyon. There are two distinctions in labeling: hard and soft labeling. It is merely deviance from the norms of society that people attribute to mental illness. Thus, mental illnesses are socially constructed illnesses and psychotic disorder do not exist. People who believe in soft labeling believe that mental illnesses do, in fact, exist. Unlike the supporters of hard labeling, soft labeling supporters believe that mental illnesses are not socially constructed but are object problems. Is closely related to social construction and symbolic interaction analysis. It holds the that deviance is not an inherent tendency of an individual, but instead, it is not tendency of majorities to negativity label minorities or those seen as deviant from standard cultural norms. The theory is concerned with how the self-identity and the behavior of individuals may be determined or influenced by the terms used to describe or classify them. The theory was prominent during the 1960s and 1970s, and some modified versions of the theory are still popular today. People in power decide what acts are crimes, and the act of labeling someone a criminal is what makes him a criminal. Once a person is labeled a criminal, society takes away his opportunities, which may ultimately lead to more criminal behavior. Those who follow the labeling theory of criminology ascribe to the fact that an individual will become what he is labeled or what others expect him to become. Danger comes from calling a crime, and a criminal way. They became known as labeling theorists or social reaction theorists, or ang mga taong nasa kapangyarihan ang nagpapasaya kung anong mga kilos ang mga krimen, at ang pagkilos ng paglalagay ng label ng isang tao bilang isang kriminal ang dahilan kung bakit siya isang kriminal. Ang mga sumusunod sa teorya ng paglabel ng kriminolohiya ay pag-utos sa katotohanan na ang isang individual ay magiging kung ano ang kanyang binansagan o kung ano ang inaasahan ng iba sa kanya. Ang panganib ay nagmumula sa pagtawag ng isang krimen bilang isang krimen at isang kriminal bilang isang kriminal na paraan. Labeling theory holds that deviance is not inherent on act, but instead focuses on the tendency of majorities to negatively label minorities, although seen as deviant from standard cultural norms. The theory was prominent during the 1960s and 1970s, and some modified versions of the theory have developed and are still currently popular. Unwanted descriptions or diagnosis of a mental disorder may be rejected on the basis that they are merely labels, often with attempts to adopt a more constructive language in its place. A stigma is defined as powerfully negative label that changes a person's self-concept and social identity. An example of labeling theory could be saying that a young man across the street is a thief because he was seen in the company of other young men with deviant behavior. Even though he may not be a thief, it might cause him to steal due to the label given to him. For example, a person who volunteers to stay late at work is usually seen as worthy of praise. But if a person has been labeled as a thief, people might be suspicious that they will steal something. For some people, once a deviant label has been applied, this can actually lead to more deviance. Labeling theory is also connected to other fields besides crime. For instance, there is a labeling theory that corresponds to homosexuality. Alfred Kinsey and his colleagues were the main advocates in separating the difference between the role of a homosexual and the acts one does. An example is the idea that males performing feminine acts would imply that they are homosexual. Thomas G. Skeff states that labeling also plays a part with the mentality ill. The label does not refer to criminal but rather acts that are not socially accepted due to mental disorders.
Good morning, sir. My topic is all about sociological theories. So, when we say sociological theories of criminology, believes that society influences a person to become a criminal. Gemma wants to know why her city has a crime problem. Why do people commit crimes? There are several different theories about why people commit crimes. On one hand, some people believe that crimes is rational choice. So, means, sa mga tao is nitoo nga ang crimes is makatuwirang pagpili ra na siya. Then, and criminals weigh the pros and cons of committing a crime before doing it. So, ang mga criminals kuno kay gitimbang ra ang ilang mga kalamangan, then ilapod kay naan sa pagbuhat og crime before nila buhaton. Then, other believes that criminals are biological or psychologically different from law-abiding citizens. So, means ang uban ilang pagto is ang mga criminals is biological or sociological nga nalahi sa mga mamayan nga ni sunod sa law. I think that both of these approaches has in common thought, it that they focus on the individuals. This is they look at crime as an individual problem, not one that involves an entire community. So, ang ilang pagtanaw sa mga criminals is individual na problems. Dili usa sa gisangkutan sa usa ka tibuok nga community. Sociological theories of criminology says that society creates conditions under which a person commits a crime. So, pero ang mga means, so ang mga sociological theories sa criminology is nagsulti na ang society kay naghimo og mga kondisyon nga usa ra ka tawo ang naghimo sa crimes. This is people are influenced by society to commit crimes. The words sociological and society are linked, so you can remember that sociological theories look at crime as a social problem, not an individual one. So means that na ang mga sociological theories is nagtan-aw sa crime usa ka bilang isang panlipunan nga problems, dili usa ka individuals. Many ways, many different sociological theories. So for example, perhaps Gemma's city has a crime problems because of people are learning from each other how to commit crimes. A theory knows a social learning theory, or perhaps the problem is that there is a big gap in wealth and class warfare in causing the problem, which is known as social conflict theory. So, one key idea that the sociological theory have in common thoughts is the idea that criminal behavior is not innate to humans and circumstances affect how people act. So, means ang mga criminals nga ilang attitude or behavior is dili likas sa mga person, but naka-affect na siya kung unsa mulihok ang mga tao. Then, That is, people aren't born criminals. It is the environment in which they live that influence how they will turn out. So means, ang mga tao is wala gipanganak na criminals, but tungod ni sa mga society or kapaligiran kung asa sila nagpuyo nga naka-influence unsaon sila pagawas. Thank you.
Social disorganization theory. Social disorganization theory is defined as an inability of community members to achieve shared values or to solve jointly experienced problems. In sociology, the social disorganization theory is one of the most important theories developed by Chicago School related to illogical theories. In other words, a person's residential location is a substantial factor shaping the likelihood that person will become involved in illegal activities. For example, the theory suggests that youths from disadvantaged neighborhood participates in a subculture which approves of delinquency, and that these youths those acquire criminality in these social and cultural settings. Larry Gaines and Roger Miller state in their book Criminal Justice in Action that crime is largely a product of unforgettable conditions in certain communities. The theory is not indeed to apply to all types of crime, just street crime and neighborhood level. The theory has not been used to explain organized crime, corporate crimes, or deviant behaviors that takes place outside neighborhood settings. Edwin Sutherland adopted the concept of social disorganization to explain increased crime that accompanied the transformation of preliterate and peasant societies in which employees surroundings a person with steady, uniform, harmonious, and consistent to modern Western civilization, which he believed was characterized by inconsistency, conflict, on organization. He also believed that mobility, economic competition, and individualistic ideology that accompanied capitalist industrial development had been responsible for the disintegrated of large family and homogeneous neighborhoods as agent of social control. Sutherland also believed that such disorganization causes and reinforces the cultural tradition and cultural conflict that support anti-social activity. He depicted the law-abiding cultures as dominant as and more extensive than alternative criminogenic cultural views and as capable of overcoming systematic crime if organized for that purpose. But because society is organized around individual and small group interest, society permits that crime to persist. Sutherland conclude that if the society is organized with reference to the values expressed in the law, the crime is eliminated. If it is not organized, crime persists and develops. In later works, Sutherland switched from the concept of social disorganization to differential social organization to convey the complexity of overlapping and conflicting levels of organization in society. A person's physical and social environments are primarily responsible for the behavioral choices the person makes in the particular neighborhood that has fraying social structures and more likely to have high crime rates.
Strain theory. It is in the realm of culture that our values, beliefs, goals, and identities are developed, which is supposed to provide a means for us to achieve our goals and realize positive identities. When people fail to achieve society's expectation through a program such as hard work in sociology and criminology, strain theory states that social structure within society may pressure citizens to commit crime. The theory states that society puts pressure on individuals to achieve socially accepted goals through the lack that means. This leads to strain which may lead the individuals to commit crimes. Structural. This refers to the process at the societal level which affect how the individual perceives his or her needs. If particular social structures are inherently indicate or there is indicate regulation, this may change the individual's perceptions as to what it means to be human. Individual. This refers to the frictions and pains experienced by an individual as he or she looks for his to satisfy his or her needs. Societies. If the goals of a society become significant to an individual, this may become more important than the means adapted to achieve them. Merton's theory. Merton's theory continued on to say, when individuals are faced with a gap between their goals, usually finances, money related, and their current station. Status strain occurs when strained people have 5 ways to adapt. Conformity. Conformity is the tendency to align your attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors with those around you. Conformity is the act of matching attitudes, beliefs, and behaviors to group norms. This tendency to conform occurs in small groups and our society as a whole, and may result from subtle unconscious influences or direct overt social pressure. Conformity can occur in the presence of others or when an individual is alone. Innovation. However, innovation is often also viewed as an application of better solutions that meet new requirements. Unarticulated needs or existing market needs. This is accomplished through more effective products, processes, services, technologies, or business models that are readily available to markets, governments, and society. That is innovation. Ritualism. Reject goals and accept or adheres to institutionalized means of obtaining them. Retreatism. To reject both uncultural goals and the means to obtain it, then find a way to escape it. The rejection of culturally prescribed goals, the conventional means for attaining them. Rebellion. To reject the cultural goals and means, then work to replace them. Open armed, unusually unsuccessful defiance of or resistance to an established government, rebellion, uprising, or insurrection is a refusal of obedience.
General Strain Theory. General Strain Theory, or GST, is a sociology and criminology theory developed in the 1992 by Robert Agnew. One of the principles of this theory is emotion as the motivator for crime. So, an GST introduced the 3 main sources of strain. Number 1, loss of positive stimuli, death of family or friends. Presentation of negative stimuli, physical and verbal assault. Ikatulo, the inability to reach a desired goal. So, Einstein theory states that certain strain or stressors increase the likelihood of crime. This strain led to negative emotion such as frustration and anger. For example, individuals experiencing chronic unemployment may engage in theft or drug stealing to obtain money, seek revenge against the person who fired them, or take illicit drugs in one effort to feel better. So Merton agreed that the cultural system of the USA was built on the American dream, a set of meritocratic principles which assured the American public that equality of opportunity was available to all, regardless of class, gender, or ethnicity. People were expected to pursue this goal through legitimate means such as ambitious, talented, and work hard that in income and wealth should yours reward. Merton developed the concept of anomy to describe this imbalance between cultural goals and institutionalized means. He argued that when individuals are faced with a gap between their goals, usually finance or money related, under current status, strain occurs. The strain involved the inability to achieve one's goal, monetary or status goals, the loss of positive stimuli, the death of friends, the loss of relatives, positions, or the presentation of negative stimuli, verbal and physical abuse. Crime may be a way to reduce or escape from strain. For example, individual may steal the money they or run away from the parent who abused them. Crime may be used to seek revenge against the source of strain or related target. For example, individual may assault the person who harassed them. This research paper describes the types of strain most conducive to crime. Why strain increase the likelihood of crime? The factors that increase that individuals will cope with strain through crime. All strain theories acknowledge that most individuals cope with strain in a legal manners. For example, most individuals cope with monetary problem by doing such thing as cutting back on expenses, borrowing money, or working extra hours. After presenting a basic overview of strain theories, it has have been used to explain group difference such as gender difference in crime.